More and more these days, people are looking for smaller options on the menu. And today, we're going to prove just how easy they are to find. From the heart of downtown to the Arena District to the short north, get ready to nosh on some great small plates. Tasting menus have long been the hallmark of four-star French and American restaurants. And these days, the amount of places that are offering these menus have skyrocketed. Today, here in downtown Columbus, Latitude 41 is offering up their spin. Much more than your typical hotel restaurant, the menu at Latitude 41 is focused on serving cutting-edge cuisine. Located in the Renaissance Hotel, the focus is on quality ingredients, most of them local.
This menu especially is very much market-driven. And we're at the farmers market a couple times a week, so absolutely, just walking around and smelling, and that's such an experience. And absolutely, I think as a chef, that is what drives the creative aspect of cuisine.
And when Chef Adam Cobb took the helm 2 years ago, he incorporated inspirations from his years cooking overseas.
I try to keep, kind of the small plate approach, let the main product shine, a few simple things, and you can be creative with that as well.
Turning a trend into regular menu options. Both small plates and tasting menus are offered daily.
It's a much more social style of eating. I think it's a lot of fun, and I think there's a growing foodie crowd these days, and they really want to experience a wide variety of options and not just settle down with one gigantic plate of beef and potatoes.
All right, we're back here in the kitchen at Latitude 41. We got Chef Adam here. Small plates, but big on flavor. Speaking of big, I think I'm going to get out of your way here and let you do your work, and you're going to bring us out some of this delicious food. Sound good?
Sounds great.
All right, great.
So this dish here is actually only consists of 3 elements, very simple. The pork here, this is just a pork tenderloin, and this is something, they're open, they're at the North Market. Anyone can go there and get the same product that we have here. So pork tenderloin, we've tempered it, so we brought it to room temperature, which is really the best way to cook beef, actually any kind of protein. A little fresh cracked pepper. These are Japanese breadcrumbs known as panko, which is just a slightly different cut. What we're doing now is transfer these to a hot pan. So right over here we've got a hot cast iron skillet. We'll add a little bit of olive oil to it and just a touch of butter as well. Anytime you're cooking with something coated with breadcrumbs, you always want to start it off a little bit lower heat so the breadcrumbs slowly toast and don't just burn. So we'll go and add the tenderloins to the pan. Going to let these slowly continue to cook for the next few minutes. So what we'll do here, we've basically done several different layers. Potatoes with the onions and the apples, the seasoning, the cheese. Maybe 5 or 6 layers. We cook that for about an hour or so. We try to brown a little bit on top. And we'll let it sit overnight. We've sliced them today. And so really all we have to do at this point, it's a great dish you can make ahead of time. We'll pop this right in the oven for 3 or 4 minutes just to heat it through, and it's good to go. And then really the last element of this entire dish, really probably the most exciting part of this entire dish, huckleberries are very, very astringent, very tart, almost like a unripe persimmon or maybe an unripe grape for that matter. So we've added shallots and garlic, a little thyme, a little bit of sage, some port wine, and fresh orange juice. A touch of sugar. We've actually simmered that down for probably about an hour and a half or so, and it's really delicious. Got a little bit of browning on all sides. So at this point, we'll transfer it through the oven and cook for probably an additional 5 minutes or so until this pork is cooked through. And we also have just a last finishing touch here. We have a bit of fried sage. We do a lot of fried sage for garnishes here at the restaurant. Really preserves the flavor of the herb, and that's really it. It's ready to enjoy. All right, so next up is our second small plate of the evening here. There's a few different cuts you can use. We're gonna do a carpaccio today, 2 different cuts, usually a tenderloin or maybe like an eye around or a top round. So you wanna use very, very lean cuts, something that is not gonna be very fibrous that you can really eat, that's gonna break down actually in its raw state. We've got a really nice ball. This is a true buffalo mozzarella that we import from Italy. We'll probably do just a quarter of the cheese or so, considering we don't want the ratio of cheese to be so much greater than the bison. So we'll do just a quarter of the cheese. What I like to do is actually turn it almost inside out, so it's almost like a burrata. At this point, we'll go ahead and season the cheese with just kosher salt, a little bit of kosher salt, a little bit of fresh cracked pepper again. These are calabrese chilies that we actually also import from Italy to kind of go along with this Italian theme. And these chilies, they do have a little bit of a punch, but they're actually quite salty too, so you can really use them to season as a seasoning aspect and not just for the pepper. And we're actually going to do just a little bit of really fine chiffonade of fresh basil here too. You can really see the beautiful color of the bison already. So all we're going to do now is just kind of layer this right on top. Then again, we just want to season the bison with just a touch more salt, pepper. We'll do a few more chilies. We'll do some pine nuts, and then you can't complete a carpaccio without a little bit of really good olive oil. So a lot of really good olive oil. And then we'll do a little bit of saba, which is essentially a cooked grape must. And then last but not least, what we want to do is just a good fresh squeeze of lemon. And that's it, ready to serve. Next small plate we're going to do is something that's a little unique to the Columbus area. We've flown in some West Coast oysters. Now these are from Washington State, Fannie Bay area, and these are my personal favorite. You're going to get a little bit of salty. They seem to be a little more complex than some of the northeastern varieties. So today, there's a million ways to eat oysters. My personal favorite way is just to eat them raw, just on the half shell. So to do that, there's a lot of different garnishes you could possibly do. Again, one of my favorites is a mignonette. So mignonette being really just a classic, very simple vinegar-based sauce. This is a little more specialty product. It's a pomegranate and champagne vinegar. So this could be picked up at Sur La Table or Williams-Sonoma, some of the specialty stores. What we're going to do, I've pre-made this, but I can walk you through how we did it. Really just comes down to finely diced shallots, a little bit of very fresh garlic, pretty heavy on the black pepper, a touch of salt, the vinegar itself. What we're going to do is just do a very quick small diced apple last minute. We'll add that to our mignonette as a finishing touch, and then we're ready to shuck the oyster, base of the oyster, and we'll try our best to kind of go in there, apply some pressure. Once you kind of enter that small opening there, a little twist usually gets the shell right open. And at that point, we'll just work around the exterior of the shell to open the remaining bit of the oyster. Okay. The muscle is actually attached to both sides, so what we want to do first is actually separate the top muscle from the shell, and we can do that just by scraping with the oyster knife. Okay, so the top piece, we can actually just discard that. Now the bottom here, we've got the oyster. Very, very important to actually preserve that oyster liqueur. That's kind of like the natural marinade, that real beautiful brine and sweetness of the oyster. So we do want to separate the bottom muscle as well. So we'll do that again, just to tip the knife. You can just kind of drag that underneath to separate it. So we're ready. All we have to do now is simply top it with the mignonette. You want to get some of the nice garnishes, some of the apple and the chives and everything else, and just a touch of the, obviously a touch of the liquid as well, which is where we're going to get all our great flavors.
And when we come back, we'll check out an Arena District hotspot that has some great dishes to nosh on. And later, we'll meet a guy who's reviving an Ohio industry, one that was stopped in part by his great-grandma's efforts.